Welcome to Real Estate Talk. This is the show where we answer your real estate questions, but today we're going to do a little bit different, Courtney. Today we're going to provide the questions because we want to get into the top 10 questions you should be asking when you go to buy a home.
Yes. I'm excited about this one because I can literally talk about this all day.
Yeah, and it's like a nerve-wracking process, right? Where it doesn't matter how many times you've done it, if you're a first-time home buyer or you're moving up or downsizing, and it's like it only comes around so often that it's a nerve-wracking thing. So hopefully
Yeah,
you can give some guidance on the questions you should be asking.
for sure. Now, there's no dumb question, obviously. So if you have more questions after this video, drop them in the chat. And make sure, I always forget to say this, Joe, make sure you like this video, subscribe to our channel so that we can continue to help guide you through the home buying journey. So, Joe, is it cool if I start off with the first question buyers should ask?
Yeah, absolutely. You kick us off.
Okay, so first, before you start your home search, you really want to ask yourself, how much house can I afford? Okay, now that's like total budget, down payment. What do you have in your savings for closing costs? We do have a fantastic affordability calculator if you visit redfin.com or click the link in the description below. And one of the things that I think is really important is how much you can afford is one thing. What you are comfortable with is a totally separate thing that I think any buyer should really talk to their lender, talk to their agent, and assess themselves. Like, what am I actually comfortable with in terms of my monthly payment and loan terms?
Yeah, that's the best place to start. It's really almost number 1, 2, and 3. But let's go to the other 9 because there's a lot more that can come after that.
Yeah.
So for me, it's really about, what is the neighborhood like? This might be something you've done already because you've fell in love with a certain area. But we always advise to really either walk or drive around a neighborhood if you can, different times of the year if it's a long process, of certainly of the day, of the week, and just get a sense for the lay of the land. And you can learn a lot just by hanging around the area for an afternoon.
That's actually one of my go-tos. Here in Texas, we have so many people relocating from out of state, from other Texas cities. It's really important that you know that neighborhood. So what's the third question that you think a buyer should ask, Joe?
Okay, third question is, how long has the house been on the market? Now, your agent can really help here too, because the agent can reach out to either the listing agent or the seller directly if there's no agent involved, and really get a sense maybe of what motivation looks like. Why is the seller considering selling right now? You don't often just put your house on the market just for fun. It's a long process. There is a motivation there. The more as a buyer you can get to that motivation, the more it just gives you a sense of what's happening with the seller. If the house is sitting on the market for a little while, you might start feeling a little bit good about negotiation power too, because the seller doesn't want to sit on the market for the most part. They want to sell quickly because they're looking to move on to their next phase.
Yeah, so true, so true. So question number 4, what is the sales history of this home and how would it affect my offer? This is key because your agent can go into the MLS and see, has this home been on the market multiple times before now? And it kind of goes along the lines of what you said, Joe, is like having all of the details about this home can help position the buyer to win. And that history is one of those important details that agents can talk with their buyers about. And the 5th question is, when was the house built? And you started speaking earlier about like, that should be higher on the list. You know what? This is not necessarily the order of importance, but all of these should be in your top 10 questions.
Exactly. Right.
And to me, when the house is built is important because you have to understand, is there galvanized steel plumbing? Because maybe you're considering an older home. Was it built before 1978? And you know that with those homes, there are additional lead-based paint disclosures. Like as a buyer, you need to be going into this house eyes wide open, and the age of the house is very, very important, especially as you're evaluating your finance, what you can afford, what you have after you close on the home to be able to fix it up in the way that you want it to be.
All right, Courtney, let's jump to the back half of the questions. What do you got for number 6?
Yeah, number 6 is, how old are the major systems, like the roof and the appliances? Okay. Sometimes there are older homes where the sellers have invested a lot of money into upgrading these major systems. That's important because without certain upgrades or updates, it may mean that a buyer's shelling out some additional money after closing to get the house where they want it to be.
Yeah, love
And
that
then
one.
question number 7, I feel like 5, 6, and 7 could be one, but we want to be really thorough here on this episode. So question number 7, have there been any recent major renovations or repairs? And if so, do you know if they will provide a warranty? And it's not enough to just ask the listing agent, hey, what repairs have been completed? And is there a warranty? No. A savvy agent representing a buyer is going to not only ask, but get evidence of those upgrades to make sure that those warranties transfer when you now become the new owner of the home.
Yeah, and this is a good bridge to mine on number 8 here,
Yeah.
which is about disclosures. So we talked about this a little bit earlier in some of the earlier items, but a lot of states require, actually almost every state I can think of, requires the seller to tell the buyer about the condition of the property, and especially if there's anything major that's either defective or that they've done to the property within the amount of time that they've owned it.
Yeah.
That could be mold, asbestos, water damage, pest control. So those disclosures are almost always attached to the listing in the MLS. So it's another thing your agent can help with by pulling that or asking the seller for those disclosures.
Definitely. One of the hot topics right now related to the next question that I want you to present is homeowners associations. This is a big deal. Tell me, what should a buyer ask about this?
As a former condo owner, yes, it's very important. So there can be HOA or condo fees attached to the listing itself, which can be significant, but it also can include a lot of utilities, in my case, snow removal. I'm in Cleveland, Ohio, and different things to upkeep the grounds. But then sometimes there are fees attached and that don't cover those things. So you don't, goes back to the first question. You want to go in eyes wide open on what those fees would be and what they cover.
Yeah. And let me double down on this, okay? Because I'm a former condo and townhome owner, okay? It's not enough to understand what the regular fees are, but making sure that you understand if there are any current or anticipated special assessments.
Yeah.
Because that could blow a buyer's budget completely out the water if there's something coming up that they're just not prepared for.
Yeah, it's like, we forgot to tell you in a couple of years, we're doing a major roof assessment and it's going to cost everybody X amount of dollars. Yeah, that happens.
Yeah, it does. And that's another reason why an earlier question about the age of the systems, including the roof and the age of the structure or the home is actually really important. Can I just round us out with the last question, Joe?
That's good because I'm running out of questions. So what's the 10?
Okay. Would your agent buy this house?
Oh,
If
I like
not,
that one.
why? Okay. That is so big. And when I am helping clients, I just in the spirit of transparency, if a buyer asks me or if I see something really glaring about this home, I will let them know my opinion, but also let them know here are the things that you need to consider, right? Because 9 times out of 10, if an agent is saying that they would not buy a home, there's a reason. Maybe it has to do with the repairs that are required. Maybe there's something else, but you should be able to have a really honest conversation with your agent because odds are that agent wants to be your agent for life. And so they have valuable input and experience that they can give to you to empower you to make the decision. It is your decision at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think that's an important point to hit home too, where it's like, I wonder how much I would wonder if my agent would buy it or not too. But it is a good question to ask. It's certainly just like you said, it gets that conversation started around how, this professional is really thinking about either the condition of the property, its location and different things. So it's a good question to ask.
For sure. If you're in the market to buy a home, check out the list of even more questions in the description below. Joe, you ran out of questions, but we got more in the description. Okay.
Yeah, I think we have a lot of them too. So these are maybe the top 10, but there's plenty more.
Absolutely. We'll be back with another episode with tips to help you navigate the world of real estate. Let us know in the comments what questions you'd like us to answer in a future episode. Thanks again for joining us, guys. See you next time.